Hello everyone, welcome back, hope you're doing well. In this video we have another PlayStation 5. This is the digital edition, which is not powering on. Now this PlayStation 5 has actually had a previous repair attempt from a well-known high street repair company or repair store in the UK. Now, they unfortunately couldn't repair it, so we are going to attempt to repair and see how we get on.
For your Xbox and PlayStation repairs, visit consoletherapy.com.
Right, so let's take it out of its bag. So it is the digital edition, as you can see. And I believe when you power it on, it is actually completely dead. Right, so let's just grab a power lead. Let's plug it in. Oh, did you hear that? There's 3 beeps there. Right, but hold on a second. So pushing the power button does absolutely nothing. But interestingly, I'm not too sure if you could hear that. Let me just put the microphone down here a little bit. See if you can hear a bit better. When you plug it in, you hear 3 beeps. Yeah, not too sure if you can hear that on the microphone. But what we will do is get it opened up. Now, when you hear 3 beeps like that, it could be a number of things. Obviously, 3 beeps before you actually push the power button. Most times, I've found it's an issue with the BIOS or the NOR on the actual motherboard. But it could be, as the previous repair store said, it could be a burnt out component. It could actually be a shorted DC to DC converter on the motherboard. But anyhow, let's get it opened up and then we can take some measurements around the motherboard. I'll fast forward through the process of taking the PS5 to bits because you've all seen that already. Say no warranty label because it's had a previous repair attempt. So let me fast forward through this bit. Right, so first things first, what we are going to do is just quickly buzz around the motherboard with the multimeter and just see what voltages we've got. So let me bring up the multimeter on the screen. Okay, let's bring that up. We're going to put in power cord. You can hear the beep. There you go. I don't know if you can hear that on the mic, but it beeps 3 times. Black probe anywhere on ground, right? And we're just going to buzz around to the motherboard. So up here we should have 5 volts, which we do. Top pin of this little transistor up here should be 3 volts, which it is 3.2. Over here we should have 5.5 either side of F7002 on either side, which we do have 5 volts. Over here we should have 5 volts, which we do. We should have some 12 volts down here, which we do. So I'm pretty confident, right, that we've got all the voltages, and it might not actually be something which is burnt out. It might be, but let's just check around here. So we're getting no response when trying to power it on. So what I think, right, that's just a very quick test of the voltages around here. We'll pop the motherboard out, right, and then we can have a little look around the other side of the motherboard just in case there is a burnt out component somewhere. And obviously we'll do a visual inspection. All of this looks okay. I mean, if these were shorting, then you wouldn't get any of the other voltages because the 12 volt rail would be shorted. So let's pop the motherboard out and look on the other side. Right, so with the motherboard out, it's always best just to do a quick visual inspection, right, and see if you can see anything obvious of any kind of burnt out components or something which doesn't look right. And to be honest, nothing jumps out at me to say this is kaput. So everything looks good. Obviously there's a massive dry spot right on the APU, but that's standard with PS5s, unfortunately. We can sort that. That wouldn't stop it from turning on, and that wouldn't cause those 3 beeps when we attach the power cord. So I can't see anything. So what we will do, let's just quickly put our multimeter into continuity mode. We've just done that, and then we'll just buzz around, right, and see if we can find any shorts. Now, what I'm guessing is it's something to do with the BIOS, right? But before we kind of confirm that or try that, what I'm going to do is just make sure we're focused. And I'm just going to buzz around here, right? So this is the back of the Wi-Fi IC. So continuity mode is the mode that when you touch the probes, right, it beeps like so. So we're putting one probe on ground, and we're just going to buzz around these capacitors. Now, one side should beep of these capacitors, the other one shouldn't. So that's fine. All right, we are all good so far. So only one side of the cap is beeping. Yeah, good, right? So probably nothing wrong with the Wi-Fi IC. Let's just buzz around here. Let's just check actually F7003, make sure that fuse is okay. Yep, that's good. Quickly buzz around here again for any shorts. Again, one side of the cap should beep and the other side shouldn't. That's all good. Right, we're going to go down here to F7502. We're going to check the fuse, make sure that's good first of all. Yep, it is. And then again, just buzz around these capacitors to see if there's any shorts. No, there's not. And again, one side of the cap will beep, the other side won't. So as I'm not finding any shorts, right, I do think, let's just check the rail down here. Okay, that's all good as well. USB power, both these are 5-volt power rails. Sometimes they short out, but we're getting nothing, no shorts there. It's leaning more and more towards there's actually an issue with corrupted BIOS, right? So when you power on, or when you apply power to a PS5, obviously a number of things happen, right? Now, one of the first things that happen is power goes up to this circuit up here, right? Part of this circuit is this BIOS IC here, right? It's also called the NOR IC, right? Power goes up here, and this is basically an IC that the PlayStation 5 needs to power on and make sure everything's working as it should, right? It holds, you know, lots of system information, like your serial number, etc., of your PlayStation. The south bridge will power on, etc., right? But if either one of these is not powering on correctly, right, it won't power up and it will just freeze and stop. So almost, I wouldn't say the first, but very close to the first thing that happens is there's a check that goes on up here, all right? And if something up here is broken, then it's just, nothing's going to happen, right? You'll still get all the voltages like we're seeing around the motherboard, but from a, if you like, a signal and a startup sequence point of view, it's not going to power up, right? Because something's wrong here. And I think that this actual BIOS IC might be corrupted. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this off, pop it into our program and read the BIOS chip. Right, so here we are under the microscope, and here is the Southbridge IC, and next to it to the right is the BIOS IC, which is a Winbond 25Q16JV IC. They are readily available to buy online. Now, what we will do is we need to desolder this from the motherboard, pop it into the programmer. There's a couple of bits of data that we need, but the main one is the serial number, right, off of this IC. We can get it from the chassis of the PS5 as well. But what we will do, we've got a fresh copy of a digital BIOS flash file, which is good. So I'll put that onto another separate chip, the clean flash file, but then I'll write the serial number to it before we put the replacement chip back on the motherboard. That way, obviously, the serial number on the chassis and the serial number which is encoded into the BIOS all match up. So let's get this IC off of the motherboard. They are quite tricky to remove, funnily enough. Now, what I like to do is just add a bit of leaded solder to the legs, which does help it come off the motherboard when you use your heat gun. So let's get that done now. Right, so we get our chip holder, pop the IC into that, and then get our program or reader, pop that in there, make sure pin 1 is to the top left, which it is. Right, and now let's jump across to the PC and then make sure we can read the data off of this, and we'll create a backup of it before we install a brand new BIOS IC onto the motherboard. Right, so here we are over on the computer. Right, so I have loaded up XG Pro, which is the programming software that I use. There's obviously lots of different types of software and readers that you can use, but this is my reader and programmer of choice. I have selected the correct IC, so this is the Winbond or W25Q16JV, which is in the PlayStation 5. This software needs that check ID unticked for some reason for it to read the IC, but then we come up here, click read. Right, let's see if we can actually read the BIOS that we suspect's not working. Along it goes, and it can actually read it. So now over here on the left hand side you can obviously see that it's done a clean read of the BIOS. What I like to do is just keep a backup of this, right? So although it's reading from the IC, that doesn't mean the actual data on the IC itself is not corrupted, right? So it's just done a read. It could have read corrupted data. So I like to just save it quickly. So I'll quickly do that. Right, so now that's been saved and we've got a backup of the BIOS just in case we need it. So what we're going to do now is actually loading a fresh copy of a PS5 digital BIOS file, right? So I've got a copy of a digital BIOS file, and it's the same revision of the motherboard, right? So the motherboard on our PlayStation 5 is the EDM010. I've got a copy of a known working BIOS, right? So I am going to load that into the programmer now. So that's a known working BIOS, right? So that's now loaded, okay? Now, we can just write this back to the IC chip. Now, the problem with that is obviously this working BIOS file that we've now got loaded has got a different serial number to the actual serial number on our console. Right, so we can change the serial number quite easily. What I need to do is just search for the current serial number. So we click Find, select ASCII, and then I know part of the serial number from this file that I've just loaded, right? That's not the full serial number, right? That's just part of the string. So I'm going to click Find. And what it should do is find the serial number. Now, I'm going to blur this out so you're not going to see it. But at the top here, basically, is the serial number, right? Just above the blurring here. Now, what we need to do is actually change this serial number, right? So what you can do is just literally just click where the actual blue text is. And you can type in from the chassis of your PlayStation 5. Type in the serial number. So if you look on the bottom of the PlayStation 5, you'll see the serial number, which is just underneath the barcode. So I'm going to type that in now. and go all the way along with the number, just over typing the characters. Okay, now when you type in that serial number, just make sure that the length of the serial number is the same as the one you're typing over, right? If it's longer or shorter, then you've made a mistake, right? So just go back and just double check you've entered all the correct numbers in. Now, what we can do, now I've typed that number in, right, what we can do is quite simply just write this BIOS, which is loaded into memory, back to the actual IC, right? So all we have to do is click prog or program. Right, this will automatically erase the chip, then write this BIOS file that we've got in memory back to the IC, click program, off it goes, and it will start erasing, and then in a few seconds it will start writing the BIOS back to the IC with the now correct serial number that we edited a moment ago. It will go through, verify the flash, and there you go, program succeeded. Right, so now we can take our IC out of the programmer and then solder it back onto the motherboard and give it a test. Right, so that's everything temporarily put back together again. I do need to sort out that liquid metal properly and give everything a good clean. It's just thrown back together. Let's just see if we get the 3 beeps now. Nope, didn't hear anything, which is good. Let's hit the power button, see what we've got. Get a beep, good. Get fan spin, brilliant. Got no light though. Did I plug that in? Yes, I did. Here we go. Look, the company or workshop that repaired this previously is actually, when they put it back together, unfortunately, they've gone straight through the ribbon cable with the screw here. Hence, you're not going to get any LEDs. So the ribbon cable is actually damaged there. So I can replace that. Right, so I'm going to give everything a good clean up. Right, it looks like it's working. We've got power now, we've got fan spin, and I'll put it all back together and we'll give everything a good test. Right, there you go. Real quick video to show you how to repair a 3 beep fault once you push in the power cord on a PlayStation 5. I have seen that a few times, to be fair, with the corrupt BIOS. It can sometimes be one of the DC to DC converter ICs on the motherboard as well. But I hope that video was useful, and just a shame that the high street store could not fix it. So if you've got any comments or any questions, please pop them in the comment section below. But thanks very much for watching the video. Really do appreciate your view. If you found it useful, please consider giving us a thumbs up. And please consider clicking on subscribe. We are posting videos every Sunday now. So as I say, thanks very much for watching. Please take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.